So you're checking out this video because you found yourself in a situation sort of like this. Broken hand, thumb in my case, wrist, whatever. You've got yourself immobilized and you're going to be on the trainer for a little bit. This is not, unfortunately, my first hand injury and hand immobilization, and I've spent some time figuring out a system that works really well for me. So I'm going to share the system that I've got, and hopefully it helps you at least have a starting place to come up with your own system for getting on the bike. So here we go. Let me show you what I've got going. So what I've got is I've got my bike. I've got a stand built for resting my elbows on, and I have borrowed a kicker from my bestie because I'm normally just on rollers. I've tried being on rollers with my elbows on this. Totally doesn't work. Don't even try. But any sort of trainer that's going to keep your bike in place is going to work great. Obviously, up there, you're going to need a massive fan, especially if you're like me and this injury's got you on the trainer in the middle of the summer. And then I like to have a place to hold all my snacks. So let me talk about the stand that I've got going on. So here's my stand, what the bike looks like. It's pretty simple. I've got a nice 4x4 over here. On top of it is screwed down another 2x4. That comes over to another big tall 2x4 that's actually screwed into my bench to give it a bit more stability. You could get away with just 2 4x4s and maybe having it lean against a wall. I think that would work really well as well. So this is the position I ride in, especially in the first few days of your injury. Getting your heart rate up is going to really hurt your incision site. And actually that big blast of blood can actually like break some of the little tissues that are trying to reconnect. So don't do that. The first few days, I just spin super easy, total recovery pace, nothing that's going to get my heart rate up at all, but just to enjoy being on my bike. And then generally by about the end of the first week, I'm able to start doing like more threshold and VO2 intervals without having the throbbing, but every healing cycle is a little bit different. You know you're doing really well when you can start to ride down on your elbows. So a note on where to place your stand in relationship to your bike. I have found that if I reach down and put my hand on the hoods and my elbow is just fully extended, that seems to be the right place for me. Granted, you can just shift the bike forward and back a little bit. But that's kind of the best. If you're an aero rider, obviously things are a little different. As this gets better, you can get clip-on aero bars and you can be down in that aero position. I kind of don't enjoy that very much. I never ride on aero bars, but it's an option, right? Which is really great to be able to do more with your hand on your bike when you get there. Another few notes about this system is you're going to want a lot of padding on top of your wood blocks there. And then I find using even an extra pad under my elbow of the hand that's going to be up really helps because this arm it's going to need a little bit more support being on that elbow. When you do start pedaling your bike, those first few days, you're kind of going to be dialing in what works and what doesn't work. A few things that I have found is that if my quads start burning like I'm doing threshold work, but I'm actually like in a recovery or an endurance effort, and it'll happen pretty quickly. It's a really good indicator that you're actually down too low and you probably actually need to add a second piece of wood to get yourself up a little bit higher. The other thing I've noticed is if this is too high, what I start to feel is that same thing, but it happens to my hamstrings in that, like 10 minutes into an easy spin, I'm like, holy cow, my hamstrings are kind of burning and they shouldn't be. So kind of use those things to dial in your system. So I hope that helps. Play around. You're going to get through your injury. You're going to stay fit. You might even come out with some odd fitness boons. So yeah, good luck. Hey. While I was doing my workout, I thought of 2 other little things that I find really helpful. The first is when you set this up, I recommend that if you have the ability to have a bench, have your bench be on the same side as your injured hand. That way you can use your good arm to reach down unencumbered and grab your water bottle out of your water bottle cage. I just find it really hard to like get down there when I'm working hard to get around my bench with the good hand. So having that on the outside really works well for me. And then another thing is I've got a big fan down there on the floor. Make sure that wherever your fan is, that you're able to hang your cast in a way that it's in that direct line of that airflow. These things get so hot and so sweaty and nasty that you're gonna want to get as much air in there pretty regularly. And it's not all that hot right now where I'm at, so I don't have it set up, but when it is hot, I'll actually put a second fan right here on my bench so I can just aim my hand straight at it. I also did that the first few days of this, where just doing this, even for like 5 seconds, made my thumb start to throb. My injury's my thumb this time. So yeah, don't be afraid to come up with a few fans, but making sure you can get airflow in and under that cast, clutch.